Hello everyone, this is Brian. Welcome back. This is my 39th flosstube video and it will be an update of my stitching for the month of November 2018 and a little bit of December. Right now it's in the evening. I just barely got back from a meeting and I'm all dressed up, and I thought that I'd do my video because I have a few minutes where I can share with you some things. But first of all, I want to welcome you back. If you are here for the first time, welcome. I hope that you enjoy the things that I have to share with you. If you're returning to my channel, welcome also. I am so glad that you have decided to spend some time with me. It's been a great month stitching wise, and I'm really excited to share with you some things that I have done. It's been kind of also weather-wise here. It's been really nice. It's really cooled off nice. In fact, this morning we actually had fog, and I do not remember the last time we had fog down here. That is a really strange thing for the desert. It's just too dry for fog. So that was kind of something exciting, I guess. It's been kind of cold and cloudy all day. We actually had a little bit of rain a couple of days ago, and yeah, so it's really nice to have it feel cool for a change. I see everybody else, they are showing snow, and in some ways I'm kind of jealous because I don't mind snow. It's kind of, but in other ways, I'm glad not to have to deal with it. We will be going up north at the end of the month, and at that time we'll probably get all the snow that we need. We usually in that month around, usually in that week around Christmas time, I get enough snow for to last me for a while. Anyway, things are really wonderful here. I just want to give you an update before we get into my cross stitch. I'm going to give you an update about my knitting, and I'm going to share with you, I finished the last time I showed you this, I had it about half finished. I finished another square for my daughter's Afghan, and this is what it is. It's called Double Scroll. I finished it, let's see, I have it upside down, although it doesn't really matter. I finished it this afternoon, actually, and you guys are a good influence because I hadn't really done much. I thought I've got to finish it so that I can show a finished square. This is called Double Scroll. It's Mosaic knitting, and it's a technique that Barbara Walker invented, I think. You knit with two colors, two rows of each color, you know, out and then back, and you slip stitches from the previous row to create this design. So yeah, I'm glad this one's done. This pattern kind of annoys me a little bit, and I decided the reason why it did is a lot of other patterns, when I knit, part of what I do to make sure that I don't make any mistakes is I like to understand what I'm doing. I like to understand the pattern. You know, I like to understand the repeats and how things are going in the pattern, because then I can watch my knitting as it goes and I can tell whether or not I've made a mistake. There's not a lot of rhyme or reason to this pattern. I mean, there is, but either the pattern repeat is too big or something. There's something about it. You know, after a couple pattern repeats, I usually have the pattern memorized and I can just knit. There's no way to memorize this pattern. So that kind of irritates me. But I'm glad it's finished. I have about 5 more squares to knit. So let's get down to my cross stitching. Like I did last time, I have filmed short segments as I have finished working on my pieces, and I'm going to insert them here, and we'll talk again when those segments are finished. Hey everyone, how's your week been? Mine's been good. It's been a pretty normal week, nothing really exciting to report. It has really kind of cooled off here. we've had some really cool mornings, and about the middle of the week I switched our system over from cool to heat, and we actually had the heater turn on the next morning, which kind of was a surprise to me. It feels to me like Arizona is cooler than normal. I don't know that for sure, but yeah, it feels like winter has arrived a little bit earlier. You can always tell when winter arrives in Arizona because all of a sudden you can't shower in cold water anymore. That's because in the summer the water is so warm that you don't need to use a lot of hot water. And also you find that you need to add an extra blanket on your bed so that you don't get cold at night. Both those things happened this week, and it feels like it's a little bit early for that to happen. I don't know. I know I've seen all the snow. Everybody's been posting snow pictures on Instagram, and it feels early for that too. So yeah, Arizona winters aren't really all that cold, but I really do enjoy it when it does get cold. I like feeling a little bit cold rather than being sweaty. So I'm rejoicing that it has cooled off. This is just perfect weather and the reason why we live in Arizona, to be quite honest. I've had a great week stitching, and I've been working on the spirit of Christmas. And I'll insert a picture of what that looked like the last time you saw it here. I've been stitching this on 32 count raw linen. It's the linen that's called for in the pattern. And of course I've been using the floss that's called for in the pattern as well. And I am really excited to show you what I've been able to accomplish because I was able to finish it. So here's what it looks like all finished. So yeah, he's all done. I finished him Thursday night, which is, to be honest, I felt like it would take a little bit, I thought it would take me a little bit less time than it actually did. But I'm really happy with the result. And Thursday night, I finished all the cross stitching and started working on the metallics at about 9:30, and I just couldn't stop. I had to get him finished. So I was up really late Thursday night stitching him. He is easily one of my favorite projects. I just love him. He was fun to stitch. I love the way he looks. Yeah, I finished him late, and I just took him out of my scroll frame and took a picture and went to bed because it was so late. And then when I got up the next morning and looked at him, I just couldn't stop looking at him, and I still can't stop looking at him. So this is as I said, this is a design by Lavender and Lace. And I am just, one of the things that really amazes me about this design is you would never know it, but there's only 3 shades of red and 4 shades of green that are used in this design. And I am really impressed with how much detail she was able to accomplish with just so few shades of colors. Yeah. I'll give you a little bit closer look at it just so that you can see. There's a little bit of metallic that adds just enough sparkle, and it's mostly in this star that he's, I don't know if holding is the right word, but it's just right above his hand. This is Kranich metallic. I can't remember what kind, it's cord, but I don't remember, I think it's the thinnest cord. 002HL high luster gold, and you have that, it's here with the star that's kind of spread all the way across, and it's also in the tassel on his hat, which I'd kind of forgotten about that tassel until I started working on it. There's also another metallic here in his belt, and I cannot remember what it is, but it's kind of a more antique-y gold. And when I saw this come in, I really loved how that looked as well. It looks to me just like a buckle should. So we'll just kind of pan around a little bit. I love the garland. I just love the way the green shading is in there with the red pops for berries. And the bow on top, the way that bow turned out, I just love that too. There's minimal back stitching. About the only back stitching there is in his face. There's a little bit of back stitch on his eye and around his nose. And then most of the rest of the back stitch is the metallic for this. The only other back stitch there's back stitch on the candle wicks. And I don't know, it's probably hard to see, but also the flames have a little bit of back stitch as well. Yeah. So she was able to accomplish, that's another thing, is there's almost no back stitching. It's all done with color changes. Yeah. It looks so good in the camera. It looks just as good as it does in real life to me. I really love him, and I love how he's turned out. And as I said, he's easily one of my favorite projects that I've ever done. I just love everything about him. So she has a couple of more Santas designs that I'm tempted, based on my experience with this, I'm tempted to stitch them as well, but we'll see. I'm not going to stitch another Santa. I'm not going to stitch back-to-back Santas, I guess. But maybe sometime in the future. So there he is. He's all finished. And I thought I'd just share you a little bit of statistics about this, because I think that's always helpful for people who want to stitch him. I started him on November 26, 2017. So just under a year ago I started him, and I finished him on November 15th, 2018. That's 354 days. So what, 12 days shy of a year? So, but the actual amount of time that I spent stitching him was 46 days. So it took me 46 days to stitch him. If I'd stitched him straight through without any breaks, it would have taken me about a month and a half. So yeah, so he really is a pretty quick stitch for me. And yeah, once again, I'm stitching it on raw linen is the name of the color. Yeah, I was tempted to stitch him on blue, but I decided I wanted to have the more vintage look of that the raw linen would give, and I'm really happy with that choice. So I'm gonna show you him once more. He's so great. So yeah. So I finished him. I had an extra day in the week because I finished him after 6 days in my rotation. So I've already started on the next piece in my rotation, and I hope to be able to show you soon what I have been working on, what I'm working on now. But anyway, I hope that you have a great week. This coming week is Thanksgiving. We are having a kind of a quiet Thanksgiving. We've invited friends over because we don't really have any family close by, so it should be an interesting Thanksgiving. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I hope that you have a great Thanksgiving, and once again, thanks for watching, and we will talk to you later. Goodbye. Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you've had a great week. Today is Thursday, actually, it's Thanksgiving, and my wife and I have been getting ready for Thanksgiving dinner, but I have a couple of minutes that I can talk with you. We've had a great week. we have been doing our Thanksgiving traditions. They actually start on Monday before Thanksgiving when we had pie night. We eat pie before Thanksgiving so we can really enjoy it, as opposed to trying to eat it after Thanksgiving dinner when you're full of turkey. We invite friends and family over, and we had a great time. Every year I make a cheesecake, and this year I made a chocolate cheesecake that turned out really good. It was nice and dense and smooth and very chocolatey. I was very happy with how it turned out. Today we've been getting ready for Thanksgiving dinner, and typically I make rolls for Thanksgiving dinner. I use my grandma's recipe, and they're actually a lot of work. You mix them up the night before and then let them rise overnight. And then you shape them into crescents and let them rise another 5 or 6 hours before you bake them. They turn out very light and fluffy and very buttery. We doubled the recipe, which will make 64 rolls because we're having company for Thanksgiving dinner, and they use a lot of butter. I used a pound of butter to make 64 rolls, so they're very decadent, and I always like making them. I never knew this before, but from watching the Great British Baking Show, I've learned that my rolls are actually made from enriched dough, so they're just really good. I noticed I've been getting a couple of comments, and people, I think I've left you all hanging on the grass on my yard. So yes, my grass has sprouted. I have green lawn again. Some people ask me about when we plant grass, and what happens is the grass that we use during the summer, the grass that can handle the heat, goes dormant in the wintertime, and it turns brown. So if you don't want to have a brown lawn, in the fall you cut all of the grass back and you seed grass that lasts through the winter. And then in the spring, the heat kills the grass that you planted in the fall, and the summer grass basically turns green and starts to grow again. So that's what we do here in Arizona. It has sprouted. I've got a green lawn, and it is looking pretty good. It's been kind of cold, so it's not really growing very much. It could grow just a little bit more before we actually have to mow it, but at least our lawn looks green. Anyway, I thought that I would talk to you about what I've been working on the past couple of days. Actually, it's been almost a week now. I've been working on Merry and Bright, which is a mystery stitch along by Manor. And I'll insert a picture here of what it looked like the last time you saw it. The last time you saw it, I had stitched part 1. Since then, part 2 has been released, and I finished part 2 last night. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. I'm stitching this on 32 count All Souls Night, which is a fabric by Manor. And I really like the color of it, and I'm using his floss as well. It's the floss that's called for in the pattern, and this is what it looks like now. So yeah, part 1 was like everywhere down here and below, like from the LMN, so I've stitched everything up here. I really like how this is turning out. So we have Merry that's stitched in variegated thread, so it's very merry, and Bright is stitched in kind of an off-white beigey color that makes it look bright, and like there's more ornaments, more of this vine that's coming through here. Yeah, so it's been very, I don't know that I'd say it's fun to stitch, because I complained about the fabric last time and I'm still having issues with the fabric, but I really like the result. I really like how these colors stand out against the dark color of the fabric. So yeah, so I'm excited about that. I'm excited to get part 2. Part 2 will be released on December 1st, which is, what, a week and a half away? I'm excited to see what's going to go up here, because Well, the title's here. The title of the piece is right here. So I don't know. I'll be interested to see what shows up here. And of course, I plan on finishing this in December when part 1 comes out. So that'll be exciting. And I'll share it with you when it's finished. At any rate, now I am, instead of pulling out Autumn Magic, which I would normally do, I'm going to pull out Let Freedom Ring, and I'm going to finish Let Freedom Ring. All that's left to do is backstitch, and I'm hoping, well, I have no feel for how long it's going to take me to backstitch it, because there's quite a bit of backstitch. I think it's going to take me at least 3 days. I don't know. We'll see how things go the next couple of days when I backstitch exclusively and see how it comes out. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to finishing that, and I hope to have it finished by the end of the month so that I can chalk up 2 finishes this month. That'll be great. At any rate, I hope that you have or have had a great Thanksgiving if you live in the United States. I am thankful very much for, I feel like I am well blessed, very blessed with my family and with everything else, and I am so thankful for that. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving, and we will talk to you later. Goodbye. Hello everyone, how are things going? It's late in the evening. I just barely finished stitching for the night, and I thought that I would share something with you. Actually, I have a confession to make. I was reviewing all of my footage as I was editing my video, and I had filmed this earlier, but when I started looking at it, I realized that that footage was unusable. So I am filming this after the fact and trying to remember everything I said. So I had a goal to finish backstitching, finish Let Freedom Ring by the end of November, and I just barely made that goal. I finished backstitching it on the 30th of November, the very last day, and I had been backstitching for about a week. So I want to share with you my finished Let Freedom Ring. So here it is. Yeah, I really like how this turned out. I really like, and the backstitch really added to the piece. I like especially the backstitching of this clock tower. I think that really just brought, really added some nice depth and detail. And of course, it's a little bit less obvious, but there's backstitching around all the windows, and then there's also the mullions. And as I was backstitching the windows, I couldn't help but count how many windows there were. There are 45 windows to backstitch, which, you know, is probably a good thing I didn't count them while I was stitching them. But yeah, so lots of windows in this piece. And I also, there's a lot of backstitching in this border with the oak leaves and the acorns. I really like how the acorns look backstitched. They really look nice. And of course the people have faces now. Yeah. So yeah, this piece was a lot of work and took a lot longer than I expected it to, but I really like the finished product. Just as a heads up, I stitched on 32 count, and I used up all of the forest glade that I had, which is the dark green in here, and all of the freedom, which is the dark blue. So I used a lot. I came really close to not having enough floss with both those colors. So if you're stitching this on 32 count, you might want to take that into account. But yeah, no, I'm really happy with it. So, just for the sake of information, I'm going to share with you some statistics about this piece. So I started on March 17th, 2017, and I finished it on November 30th, 2018. So that's over a year and a half. And actually it's 623 days from start to finish. That's a long time. And working on a piece for that long, I think it's kind of understandable that that you get a little bit tired of it after spending that much time on it. Actually, the number of days that I actually stitched on it during those 623 days was 83. So I stitched, it took, if I had stitched this straight through without a break, it would have taken me just under 3 months to stitch. 9 of those days were backstitching days, so it took me 9 days to backstitch, which is a lot more than I expected. And that's kind of the theme of the entire piece. Everything took a lot longer to stitch than I expected. I mean, I finished the building and I thought, oh, the flowers in the corner are not going to take very long. I'm almost done. All I have to do is the flowers in the corner. Well, those flowers took a long time to stitch. I'm talking about these here. Those took a long time to stitch, a lot longer than I expected. When I finished the building, I was really just over halfway finished, and I still had a lot to stitch, even though it doesn't look like it. But yeah, so one more look at it. I'm so excited about this. And I'm so happy with how it turned out. So anyway, I hope that you have a great week, and we will talk to you later. Goodbye. Hello everyone, welcome back. How are things going? It's Thursday evening and I've been home from work for a couple of hours. We've had dinner and now I'm just settling in for the evening. And I have something that I'd like to show you. So I've been working on Merry and Bright for the past 4 or 5 nights. I think I mentioned in the last clip that I showed you that that's what I was going to work on, that I had decided that I was going to finish it, and I finished it. So I'm going to show it to you. But first I'll show you a picture of what it looked like the last time you saw it, which was actually a little bit earlier in this video. Anyway, for those who don't know, this is a design by Eric Shipley of Ship's Manor. It's a stitch along that he started in October. He started releasing it on October 1st. And I really liked the concept and I thought I'd stitch it. And I decided I was going to keep up with the stitch along too. So I've been able to do that. So this is what it looks like finished. So yeah, so it turned out to be a sampler. And you can see you have the alphabet down here. There's actually numbers up here, and then you have kind of this diagonal strip of snowflakes and ornaments. There's some vines in here. And of course there's this candle down here that lights everything up. So for every color of floss, there's 2 different shades. There's a lighter shade and a darker shade. And the lighter shades are stitched close to the candle frame. So basically inside this circle, kind of sort of through here, everything's light. And outside of that circle, everything uses the darker shade. This is stitched with Ship's Manor floss. It's his hand-dyed floss, which I really like. I really like these colors. They're like bright and they really stand out against the fabric. There's like 4 or 5 colors, and then there's a variegated floss that's basically all the same colors, just variegated. So some places where the variegated floss is being used is, of course, here in Mary. This tree is stitched with variegated floss. This tree is stitched with variegated floss. Let's see, where's another place where it looks really good? This corner is stitched with variegated floss too. I think there's variegated floss down in here too. So yeah, the fabric that I stitched this on is All Souls Night. It's Eric's fabric that he dyed as well. And it's a really dark blue, really dark navy, and like I say, I really like how the colors of the floss stand out against the fabric. So I'll give you a little bit closer look so that you can see what it looks like up close. So yeah, I've really enjoyed stitching it. I've enjoyed how it turned out. It's been kind of a challenge. I think I mentioned it before. This fabric is really gauzy, and the fabric threads move around quite a bit, and that has made it hard for me to get good tension on my stitches. That's the only complaint I have with it. I really like other than that, I was able to stitch well. I was able to see the holes pretty well and stitch on dark fabric, and everything turned out really good. Of course, it's a smaller design, and I guess I like it. I don't get the feeling of accomplishment that I get with a larger design stitching something like this, but it's still fun to do. So I'm going to share with you a couple of statistics about this piece. So as I said, it's called Merry and Bright. I am sure that it's still available from the ship's Manor website if you would like to purchase it, and I'll put a link to where it is in the notes below. Anyway, I started this on October 20th, 2018, and I finished it on December 5th, 2018. So that's 46 days from start to finish. But I only really stitched on it 13 days. It only took me 13 days. No back stitch, so 0 back stitching days. And I've started keeping track of my time, of the time that I take each stitch. This is a pretty good, this is about how long it took me to stitch about 2/3 of the design. That's about when I started tracking time. So it took me, to stitch about 2/3 of the design, it took me about 14 hours. So yeah, like I say, I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I'll give you one more look before I sign off. Yeah, it's really pretty. I really like it, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So yeah. So anyway, my plans for now is I'm going to pull out Autumn Magic and start working on it. I'm going to finish out the week with Autumn Magic and also work on Autumn Magic next week. So I'm excited to do that. It's time to work on it again. It's starting to want to be worked on. In fact, everything that I have left is kind of crying for attention. So I am looking forward to doing that and kind of relaxing a little bit, because I felt a lot of pressure that I've given myself to finish stuff. So it feels good to have finished everything that I thought I was going to finish, and now I think I can kind of relax and just stitch. At any rate, I hope that you have a great evening, and we will talk to you later. Goodbye. Okay, welcome back. How's that? As you can tell, I've been on a finishing frenzy, and it really has felt like a frenzy. I have felt very much obligated to finish those pieces that I finished. Partly because I've wanted them finished, and also because about a month ago I said, I think I can do this, and I had to do it. So it feels good to have them finished. It feels good because now I can kind of relax and go back to my normal stitching. At any rate, that is not all that I have to show you. I have something else to show you too. So I'm going to insert that segment that I filmed here. Hey guys, how's it going? Once again, it's early in the morning and I'm getting ready for work, but I have something else that I thought that I would share with you. So a couple of weeks ago, I asked Annette from Annette's Acre, link to her video channel below. You should really check her out if you haven't. I asked her who the person is that she has framed her pieces, and because I decided I wanted to try him out, and she told me, and so about a week ago I went up to give him a couple of pieces to be framed. And he's kind of a ways away from where I live, so it's kind of a drive. But I went up there on a Saturday morning and gave him a couple of pieces, and we talked about framing options, and he had some really good ideas, so I left them with him. And then last Saturday, Annette messaged me and said, I was just up there and to pick up some of the pieces that I had framed, and she said, he showed me your pieces and they look really awesome. And I was planning on going up, but we just had a whole bunch of stuff going on and I didn't make it. But I couldn't wait till this next Saturday, so I decided to go up during my lunch hour and pick them up. So I have 2 framed pieces that I want to share with you today. The first piece that I have to show you is a design that was in the November 1991 issue of Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. And I've shown it to you before, but it was a very long time ago. So if you haven't watched all of my videos, you may not have seen it. Or if you watched, I mean, this was like one of my first videos. So if it's been a long time, so you may have forgotten about it. But this is it. It's called Santa's a Fable and Fantasy. So it's a picture of 5 different Santas. You have the traditional Santa in the middle, and then you have a patriotic Santa over here, and then there's kind of a wizard Santa and a woodland Santa, and yeah, I don't know really what he is, but and then of course there's an alphabet across the top, numbers across the bottom. And I just really like this. My wife loves this piece. This is more her style. She really likes folk arty, Charles Wysocki type stuff, and this just really fits her bill. So this is what it looks like. I really like how this turned out. It is really sparkly. You probably won't be able to see the sparkles, but there's gold blending filament all the way through here. There's pearl blending filament in the snowflakes on the corners. One effect that I really like is this Santa's is backstitched in black with gold blending filament. I really like that effect. It really looks cool. So there's this one, and it is going to sit in our living room on one of our end tables for Christmas this year. So like I say, I'm really happy with how that turned out. There's a couple of other things. This is metallic cord, this jump rope. I don't know if you can see it. There's a jump rope here that is metallic cord that's couched on top. That's the first time I've ever couched anything. This gold cord around the wreath and down and hanging down is also couched. There's a star button right here, and I think that kind of gave them problems when he was framing it. It looks to me like he had a hard time with that, but it really turned out nice. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. So if you want to hold on for just a minute, I'm going to get the other piece to share with you. Okay, I'm back. And this piece you've just barely seen. I love my Lavender and Lace Santa so much that I just had to frame him. So here he is, all framed. So we chose this. It's a green suede mat with a red underneath, and then he beveled the edges of the mats to kind of match the white in Santa's beard and the trim of his coat. So this green it's a little bit lighter than I thought he'd choose. I really like this suede mat. And then the frame is basically is a very dark green, has a very dark green trim around the edges. So, and yeah, you're getting lots of glare, but he's just wonderful. I'm gonna scoot back a little bit so you can see. Yeah, I got him home last night and set him up. He's gonna also be on an end table, and I just couldn't quit looking at him. So he's all framed and ready to go. So I thought you'd like to see those. Thanks for sharing them with me, and we'll talk to you later. Goodbye. Welcome back again. So I am so happy with those two pieces. They're sitting in our living room, and every night I have to go look at them and just admire them. They just turned out really wonderful, and I'm so very happy about them. So that's what I've done this month, and like I say, it's been a really great month. I am going to now share with you some of my graphs, and just to kind of recap what you've seen here. The first thing I'm going to show you is my normal stitching trend, and you'll see that it looks about the same. I've changed this graph a little bit. I have made it so that it shows the last 12 months instead of the entire history. I kind of like that a little bit better, so that's what I'm going to start showing you. So that's what I have done as far as stitching goes. You can see that the number of days that I stitched dropped a little bit. November was a pretty busy month for me, and but the number of stitches, or the area that I was able to cover in my charts, actually increased a little bit. Here's a trend of my whips, and you'll see here I've kind of changed this. Now I have the red line is the number of whips that I have, and the orange line is the number of active whips, or the number of whips that I stitched on during the month. And you can see that my whips are dropping. I am down to 4 whips. It's been a long time since I've been down to 4, and I feel really good about that. And I'm not planning on doing any starts immediately. I'm going to enjoy having 4 whips. So I really like that. So this graph is my finish trend for the past few years. And as you can see, for the year of 2018, I have had 7 finishes, which is actually quite amazing to me. When I started at the beginning of the year, I didn't think I was going to have very many finishes, because all I had at the time, was a bunch of big projects to work on, and they were not very far along. And so it's really surprising to me that I have broken my annual record for a number of finishes. And that's all I'm going to have. I don't have anything that's close enough that I can finish in the next 3 weeks. So 7 finishes. Now, one of the things that has made this possible is I have had 3 finishes that I started and I finished because they were really small. And I think I am going to continue doing that. I'm going to try to have a mix of large projects that I love, and then mix in some smaller projects that are more quickly finished, just to give me a sense of accomplishment by finishing things. So that's really cool. And I've got another couple of graphs that I'm going to show you. And I really like this graph. This is the cumulative project age of everything that I've stitched. So each bar is a month, and the numbers for each of the colors is the number of days since I started that project for that month. And so you'll see the amount of the cumulative age of my projects has been increasing, and I think that's kind of made things a little bit hard for me, because the longer I go stitching on a piece, the more likely I am to get a little bit tired of it. So I would like to get this to the point where this age isn't quite so high. And actually, this does not include the finishes that I've had for the month of November, because I worked on them in November. So in the next month we will see a big drop on this project age, which is really cool. I kind of a variation on a theme. This is the number of days that I've stitched on each project. On this graph you can kind of see the number of days that I've worked on each project. And it's really easy to see where I get some finishes, because you'll see a drop in the total length of the bar when I have a finish, because that will drop. You can also see projects that I haven't been working on, because the number of those stitches remains constant. It remains the same. And you'll probably see that there's quite a few projects I haven't been stitching, and they have really been they've been really screaming for me to get working on them. So I'm excited to finally get to the point where I can do that. Yeah, and anyway, I really like looking at this graph. So those are the graphs that I have to share with you. It's been, like I say, it's been a great month, and I'm looking forward to seeing how these graphs look next month as well. So yeah, that's another thing that's kind of turned into a bit of an obsession with me. I mentioned last time that I had changed some things in my spreadsheets, and since then I have made even more changes. I have made things very much so that I only have to enter data in one place, and everything basically updates, and there's minimal stuff that I have to do. It's really cool, and I'm going to share these spreadsheets with you in the future. I keep finding bugs. I keep finding bugs that I have to fix, and I also keep coming up with new features to add. So eventually I'm going to get to a point where I feel comfortable sharing this spreadsheet with you. But I've really enjoyed that. Another thing that I've kind of fallen down the rabbit hole on is on my phone. So if you have an iPhone, there is an app that Apple has made that's called Workflow. Well, it's called Shortcuts. It used to be called Workflow, and Apple bought it and renamed it Shortcuts. And it is an app that makes it so that you can automate tasks that you do all the time. And I've had Workflow on my phone for a long time, but I haven't taken the time to actually dive in and figure out how to use it. And in the last month, I actually, when they changed it to Shortcuts, I actually decided I wanted to play around with things. And I have done some things that make things really easy for me to track the amount of time that I spend stitching. I always in the past have forgotten. I have a time tracker app that I've been trying to use, and I always forget to start it, or I forget to stop it, and it's always been kind of a pain, and I've kind of given up on using it. Well, with this shortcuts app, I have bundled a bunch of things that I do all at once, and it keeps track of the time for me. So I tell this app, I tell the shortcuts that I have programmed when I've started stitching, and when it does that, it will ask me what project I'm working on, and then it will create an event in my calendar with the time that I started stitching. And then it asks me what I want to listen to while I'm stitching. It might be YouTube, or to watch flosstube, or it might be Audible to listen to a book. And I can choose what app I want to launch, and it will launch that app for me. And then I can start stitching. And my time is already recorded. Since I am always do the last part of trying to decide what I'm going to do on my phone while I'm stitching, linking that in with actually recording the time makes it easy for me to remember to record a start time. And then I also have a shortcut that at the end, when I want to stop stitching, it will ask me what project I'm working on again, and then it'll ask me how many stitches I put in, and it will record the time that I stop and modify the event that I created when I started stitching, and make it so that it spans the amount of time I was stitching. And in the notes, it will put in the number of stitches that I put in. So now I can go back through my calendar, and I can pull up a day, and I can see how many stitches I stitched and how long I stitched during that day. And that makes it really easy for me to enter that information in my spreadsheets. I also have a shortcut that will pull out events out of my calendar for a range of days and tell me how much time I spent stitching on those days. So it's really cool. I've kind of gone down a rabbit hole with it, but it's made things really, really nice for recording more of my stitching time. So I think if you guys are interested, I think I'll see if I can see how I can share that with you as well, because I think it's really cool. I might have to do a video with a screencast showing you what I'm doing, showing you how it works. So anyway, so that's kind of been the things that I've been working on in my spare time when I haven't been stitching. Okay, so in my last video, I promised a giveaway. And you guys, I want to thank you so much for all of your comments. It was really fun to see how creative you were. I got poetry. I got modified song lyrics. I got entomology, the origin of the word pumpkin. You guys, you're so wonderful and you're so creative. You really had me laughing, and that was the funnest thing. So thank you so much for all of your wonderful comments and for participating in my drawing. Just before I started this video, I used random.org to randomly choose 2 winners. And as you remember, I'm giving away, first of all, a CD Pumpkin Cottage, which is a design by Praiseworthy Stitches. I had 59 people enter the drawing for that chart, and the person who won is Time to Stitch. So, Time to Stitch, if you will get a hold of me, I'm going to put my email address in the comments, and I'm also going to notify you in the comments that you won the giveaway. So thank you. I hope that you enjoy working on it. The second item that I gave away is the seasonal samplers by Drawn Thread, the seasonal garden samplers. And I had 81 people who entered that drawing, and the winner is Tina Healy. So Tina, you won. Congratulations. And if you'll give me your address also, I will get that sent out to you. So yeah, so congratulations to both of you. I hope that you enjoy these charts and that you enjoy working on them. Okay, so that's all I have. My plans, I feel like, so I finished pretty much everything that was in my rotation. So I am going to start building up my rotation again, just like I did, I guess it was back in July when I started doing that. So right now I am working on Autumn Magic, and I will be working on Autumn Magic all next week. And then I'm going to start, I'm going to pull something else out. I'm thinking right now it'll be Quaker Christmas too. And then I'll work on Autumn Magic and continue to add pieces to my rotation until I get up to all 4 pieces. I am so excited to have, I've decided that I can only really concentrate on 4 or 5 pieces a month. That's kind of been, if I look over my data, that's kind of what's been happening. And so I'm going to, I want to keep my whips down to that number, because I want to be able to work on everything that I'm working on during a month, so that something doesn't feel abandoned and start crying that it needs some attention. So I'm going to gradually work up to 4 and keep it at 4. That's my plans. Watch, in 6 months I'll say I'm really tired of this and I need to do something else, but we're going to try that for right now. At any rate, I hope that you have a great month. I probably will not be talking to you again before the end of the month. So if you celebrate Christmas, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I hope that you have a great season full of peace and joy, and that you enjoy your time with your families. We are definitely going to be doing that for us. We are going to have my wife's entire family together for Christmas. So that is kind of exciting. It's been a long time since we've done that, and it's going to be wonderful. We have one of my nieces is getting married, and so we're going to be going for the wedding and staying through Christmas, and that should be fun. I hope that you have an enjoyable holiday as well, and we'll talk to you probably towards the beginning of the year. At any rate, thanks for spending time with me. As always, feel free to like and comment on my videos. I always enjoy hearing from you. And if you haven't, feel free to subscribe so that you can see my videos as they come out. Once again, thanks for spending time with me, and we will talk to you later. Goodbye.